Jared Woods is an author and explorer whose latest book, The Lamb Prophecy, weaves fantasy with deep spiritual themes, encouraging readers to reflect on their own sacred journeys. And Jared is with us here. How are you today?
I'm very good, Toby. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Now, can you give us a brief overview of The Lamb Prophecy and what we can expect when we dive into this story?
Certainly. Basically, I wanted to write something that was very heavy with spiritual philosophy, but I also wanted to make it entertaining and fictionalize that. So what I came up with was a story about a 30-year-old woman who lives in London, who has severe trauma, but she's very dedicated to her religion. But then through a series of traumatic events, she kind of loses her mind a bit and then realizes that she is, in fact, the second coming of Christ and decides to lead the masses to overthrow the UK government. So very simple stuff, nothing too intense.
Yeah. And how did you develop that protagonist, Lamb? And what do you think she sort of represents in the context of today's societal issues?
That's a great question. I mean, I feel like the entire story was kind of the idea behind it was to be kind of a comparative narrative about different religions and different. I myself am more on the agnostic side of spirituality, so I really wanted to put something that kind of hopefully portrays that all religions kind of have their pros and their cons, and that they can all kind of function together. So that's kind of how I kind of was the underlying theme of a you could be right, you could be wrong, but it can all coexist. But as far as Lamb, the character herself, there was a lot of research that went into her. I read a lot of books about like Margaret Atwood and Sylvia Plath and stuff like that to kind of get into it's difficult as a male sometimes to write from a female perspective. So I just spent a lot of time reading books about women that were either in a dystopian reality or that were kind of troubled by some sort of inner turmoil. So it wasn't easy.
Yeah. And obviously the themes of spirituality and mental delusion are prominent in the Lamb Prophecy. So how do you navigate that fine line between faith and mental health in your storytelling?
These are good questions, man. Well, you got to be careful. That's the first thing I would say. These are both very sensitive topics. So you want to do it in a way that doesn't seem exploitative. You want to do it in a way that's true to yourself as an author, but also I'm not out to annoy people. I really don't want to make people feel offended or make people feel challenged too much. But at the same time, I just wanted to kind of just present something that I felt would make people think a little bit and hopefully come to maybe just a kind of stance of understanding on people who are, as you've mentioned, are both the things, who are either having slight troubled time mentally, as well as have kind of a very firm idea on what religion should be.
Absolutely. Now, the book blends fantasy with some deep spiritual themes. So, how do you actually see the role of fantasy in exploring, those serious real-world issues?
Well, that was the fun part. The thing about this, and I think the thing with religion, what I'm so fascinated about, is that they are these extremely imaginative mythological tales. We have these rich deities that have changed the entire social structure of humanity. So to me, it wasn't really that difficult to find to mix the fantasy world with the religious world, because there was just this wealth of spiritual philosophies and theories and narratives and legends. And so it really was just my real what I enjoyed most about this was trying to bring in as much of that as possible, trying to bring in the different ideas that each religion has that I find so fascinating. And it's a fantasy in some ways, but at the same time these have real life consequences. Each of the deities and these religious ideas have seriously shaped countries and nations and beliefs. So yeah, it was fun.
Absolutely. Now, your own background is quite unique. So how has your experience as a homeless nomad and your travels through nearly 60 countries influenced your writing and the themes in the Lamb Prophecy?
It's a very good question. Massively so.
Yeah.
First of all, just as a general writer, or I suppose I speak for any creative person, when you're traveling, you are constantly bombarded with inspiration, new stimulating environments and cultures, which is the main point, I guess, what relates to this book is that I'm
Yeah.
constantly seeing different holy spaces, different temples, different people of different cultures, and I find that massively inspirational. This book is specifically kind of more revolves around the UK, which I've spent most time in, as well
Mm.
as the Christianity, but it brings other religions in. And I think as I go on, I'm going to write more books in this kind of field. There will be more and more showing the different kind of cultures. I just thought for the first book, I wanted to kind of keep it a little more simple, rather than writing about some ancient Mexican tribe or some Cambodian temple. I just kept it to like London Christianity, so it's an easy entrance for people to get into the story.
Absolutely. And you've read the central scripture from different religions each year. So, what are some of the insights or revelations that you've gained from that practice? And, have any of them made their way into your writing?
Yes, I think that's actually the most important thing is that by reading these different scriptures, and I've read a lot. I've read the Bible, I've read the Quran, but I've also read some weird ones. I read the Satanic Bible, I read the Scientology book, so I really did
Yeah.
spread it around. And one thing I found is that the majority of them kind of agree on the central ideas of first of all, obviously kindness to your neighbor, but the second of all, there seems to be this kind of understanding that we are a unified species, which kind of also unifies with this overarching spiritual entity that we are all part of. So it's that's what I kind of really started to get into was the comparative side of religions. What makes them different so they justify their existence, but most importantly, what is the similarities that runs through each of them? And I have found that's just influenced my entire life, let alone my writing. But it's definitely just I'm continuously inspired. Every year I still reading another one, and it's yeah, to me it just really opens my mind to how similar they all are, but the fun comes with the nuances.
Yeah. Now, this book, The Lamb Prophecy, is far from your first venture into writing, because you've written a range of books from self-help to music biographies. So how does this book differ from some of those previous ones, and what was it that motivated you to explore this particular style?
Yeah, this is the thing which I'm really happy about. I was writing a lot of stuff, as you say. I was writing a lot of biographies, normally about really strong women. I was
Yeah.
writing music is a big part of my life, and self-help. A lot of that was about relationships, and then also I was writing a lot of religious stuff. So this book kind of feels like it's my ninth book, and all these topics have kind of come together as this strong female-led character with the heavy spiritual themes, with just the kind of a lot of gender investigation. But most importantly, I just adore writing fiction. That's what I love to do. So a lot of the other books were kind of good choices, financially, because they'll sell better. Whereas fiction is a bit more difficult. But the passion behind this book really feels like I found the thing where all of these little bits and pieces that I was messing around with have now landed in one singular puzzle, and it feels like my first book, to be completely honest with you. It feels like the other ones were practice, and now I'm in the big game.
Absolutely. And what is your overall hope that you hope readers will feel or think about after finishing The Lamb Prophecy?
A few things. I hope I successfully get people to think about their own faith without annoying anyone.
Yeah.
Hopefully, also they come away with a sense that there is a world where maybe there's more to the world that we all think, and that every religion might have its space and it can coexist. But more than anything, I just really hope people come away with it with a sense of enjoyment, and they look forward to reading more of my stuff so I can continue writing them.
Absolutely. Well, what's next for you after this book? Could it be that maybe in a few years' time I'll speak to you again and you'll say that the book you'll have then is, your first real book and everything before that was a warm up?
That would be fantastic. I would that would be fine by me. But yeah, no, I do. As I say, this was kind of I have kind of a 6 book series planned around this world. So this is the first one. So I'm really looking forward to focusing on the next one. I'm doing a lot of research to do with that. But yeah, I got a couple other book ideas that are a bit separate, and I'll be traveling quite a lot in the future. So it's just going to be complete madness, man. Yeah, I'm going to barely hold on as always, and really enjoy the ride, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Well, in the meantime, where are we able to find this book, The Lamb Prophecy?
Right now, the best place to get it is Amazon. Really appreciate that when people buy from Amazon and they leave a review on Amazon. It just does so much for independent authors. So that's what I'm really pushing people towards. So if they can just go to Amazon and type in The Lamb Prophecy, it'll come up there. You can also go to my website, jaredwoodssavedmylife.com. But yeah, or you can just go straight to Amazon. We'll just cut out the middleman.
Brilliant. Well, many thanks for joining us. It's been great to have you on the show today.
Thank you, Toby. Appreciate it.